Hello everyone. So we'll be looking at Docker registries now. So Docker registry is stateless, highly scalable server-side application that stores and lets you distribute Docker images. The registry is an open source under the permissive Apache license. So it is used to tightly control where your images are being stored. Fully own your images distributions pipeline. Integrate image storage and distribution tightly into your in-house development workflow. So, a Docker registry is a centralized location where the Docker images are stored and from where we can download images onto the host system. So, generally, the default repository is the Docker hub, the docker.io. Like uh, most of the images are already present on the Docker hub, so we can pull a lot of images from there. And so, the general format of an uh, Docker registry inquiry is like this. Image is tagged with the docker.io. This is the registry name. It is trailed with the account user account name and also the image name. If we are an unregistered user, our user account name is by default the image name. So for this example, I have taken like that. So here we can see that uh, the hub registry is the docker.io and user account name and the image name are both are Redis. So gcr.io is the Google repository used to store the Kubernetes image, which we try to pull for Kubernetes operations. And so there are multiple different uh, commands which we can run to create a repository, like docker pull account demo image. The general syntax of the uh, inquiry which we generally type into the command line interface of Linux or terminal. Similarly, we also use the push command to push images into the repository. So, creating an image with these kind of uh, arguments passing in the command line will create a public repository. But to create a private repository which can be only accessed by you, or if you are working in an organization, only your organization should be able to access that repository. Then for that the Docker already has a solution which is called the Docker registry image. So by pulling an image called the Docker registry, so the command for it is docker pull registry. You can achieve or you can create a repository, private repository, which can be heavily guarded and uh, it can be given permission according to your own will. So there are multiple ways of creating a private repository. One is through your command line interface, following a few commands like the following, which can be obtained from the Docker docs. to start your registry, to push an image into the registry, to pull it back, and even to stop. There are multiple ways. So this is one way, and the other way is through Docker Hub. So in Docker Hub, if we create an account, I've already created an account for myself. So we can go to the repository section and create repository. So we can name it like my repo 12. Keep in mind that the name of the repository should be all in lowercase. It should have special characters and numerics as well in the name. You can assign it for public or private uh, access. So for free accounts, you're only allowed to have one private repository or one public. You only have access to one repository. So here is the uh, command to push or to pull images to use the repository using the command line interface. So if I click on create, this will be my command for the command line interface to interact with the private repository. So here there are multiple options, like we can add tags, we can include builds, we can add multiple collaborators. You can give access to other people with the Docker ID so that they can interact with your repository. There are multiple settings. Since I made it public, I can make it private, enable image scanning. So you can even delete your repository from here. So this is a more simpler way, and there are other ways as well. Like if I've told you by using different command lines, this provides you more customization. Like you can add more rules, you can add play around with your whole registry, and you can even use multiple frameworks. So by referring to the documentation here, you can do multiple things with our registries. So thank you for listening, and I'll meet you in the next one.